All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I am Rebecca Dukes-Kozak, and on behalf of my team here, we have John T. McCollier and Ruth Ellen Sanchez and Nasima Omar, and of course, the great Dr. Joel Wallach. We are excited that you have chosen to be empowered and look at ways that you yourself can take control of your health. Where the medical community may treat symptoms, I love the fact that using nutrition, you can actually address the cause. And the gentleman who is responsible for the research that proves it is Dr. Joel Wallach. Dr. Wallach, welcome. We are so excited to have you here with us this morning.
Well, thank you, Rebecca, and thank you, John T., and thank you, Nasima, and the whole team. Appreciate everybody being there. I'm assuming you can hear me okay. Not if you can hear me. Okay, good.
Yep, we hear you fantastically.
Okay, good. So we're all connected. And of course, I want to talk about the red warning light today. And we have a CD coming out in a couple of weeks. It's called the red warning light. Goes into the metabolic syndrome, which is obesity and diabetes and high blood pressure and cardiovascular disease and elevated triglycerides and kidney disease and so forth. And if you have any of these pre-existing conditions, you're in real danger. If you get the COVID, these issues will tell you you're going to get serious complications. You might even die from the COVID if you have these pre-existing conditions. And I call them the red warning light because they're very similar to the red warning light in the dashboard of your car. And everybody knows the red warning light in your car is not going to destroy your car. But what it does do when it lights up is it gives you an alert, say, hey, there's something going on here you need to check out, because you will get a damage to your car, your engine or something, if you don't check it out. You want to check, make sure your fan belt's still intact, blowing air onto your radiator. You want to make sure your radiator is intact, a rock didn't hit it, and so all the coolant is leaked out. Do you need a quart or two of oil, and so forth. And so all of these things are very, very important. And of course, if you were to take your car to a mechanic when that red warning light came on, instead of looking at it yourself, and the mechanic would say, oh, we need to deal with this. Your engine's heating up because you don't have enough oil in it. And say, well, what oil should I use? I want my car to go 300,000 miles. I love my car. Well, don't waste your money on oil. Just put dirt from Texas or Oklahoma in there. There's bound to be some oil in it. Now, an insane person would flee, take their car and go to someplace else because they would know, what a stupid guy. What, there's bound to be some oil in the dirt from Texas? This guy out of his mind? But when a doctor says, oh, just eat well, you get everything you need, don't waste your money on vitamins and minerals. My doctor says, I don't need to take any vitamins and minerals. I just eat well. Well, you might as well start getting your coffin bought and measured for you and everything, because you're dead man, dead woman walking. You listen to your doctor on that one. And so the red warning light is very, very important. And again, we have 15 books and so forth, and almost 60 DVDs now and over 120 CDs, which go into these things. I was really happy to see Lancet, a very famous British medical journal, Lancet. Lancet's their name for scalpel in England. So there's a very, very famous medical journal. Every doctor knows and respects the Lancet. Well, just about 3 days ago, they came out and said, now this is an editorial in the Lancet. Their medical editors had, kind of a lead article, an editorial, and they said, the medical schools all over the world are teaching their medical students to be pill pushers, which treat only the symptoms. They're not getting to the basic root cause of the problems. And so we need to change everything in the medical system. That was the Lancet just a couple of days ago. Now, I've been saying this for 50 years. And everybody said, well, like, you're out of your mind. Well, finally, the Lancet's caught up with me after 50 years and began to say the same thing. Now, there's another one I'm going to throw in, and then we'll get into some specifics. This other one has to do with a study that was done by Johns Hopkins, a very famous medical school in Baltimore, Maryland. And this came out about, I don't know, it's got to be 6-8 weeks ago now. And it was a study they've been doing since 2013. And they looked at the top 8 killers of people in hospitals. Okay, what did people die from in hospitals? They picked 8 categories that were routine, common, and they ranked them according to the number of people who were killed by each of these different categories in hospitals each year. Number 1 was cardiovascular disease, which you might expect, but they didn't answer the question. They did not answer the question: did these people come into the hospital with a heart attack and they died of the heart attack before somebody got to them, or did they die from an infection from following a cardiac surgical procedure? Did they die from overdoses of medication to the heart disease? What exactly did they die from? Okay. Number 2 was cancer, the same thing. Did people, they're in a coma dying of cancer, they bring them to the hospital and they die? Or did they get an infection following surgery? Or did they die from too much radiation and chemotherapy and stuff like that? They didn't go into those different things. But number 3 was the one that interested me. And remember, this is Johns Hopkins. I'm just quoting what they printed in the medical journals, and it was in the front page of all the newspapers, okay? They said the number 3 cause of death every year in American hospitals is medical errors. Number 3 cause of death is medical errors. And they said, now remember, this is Johns Hopkins. This is published in medical journals just 6-8 weeks ago. It was a study that started in 2013. They said each year in America, medical doctors through medical errors kill, that's the word they use, kill 251,000 to 440,000 patients in American hospitals each year. Now, Rebecca, you tell me how many businesses could stay in business in America if they're going to kill 251,000 to 440,000 of their customers in their workplace every year?
Absolutely zero.
So why does the medical profession get away with it? Insurance. Okay. Insurance is their safety valve. Well, just, file your complaint. The insurance companies will give you an award here, blah, blah, blah. That, sorry we killed your mom, but, that's the way it goes. Kind of thing is their attitude. Any profession that can kill, according to a third party, Johns Hopkins, not me, 251,000 and 440,000 of their customers or workplace every year through medical errors, it just makes you want to cry, okay? So with that said, you don't need to go to a doctor to see if you have diabetes and pay $100 for an office call and $200 for the laboratory fees and everything. You can go to a pharmacy without a prescription and get a test strip for $1.50. They come 3 or 5 or 8 or 10 in a bottle. You can get them for your finger sticks. You can get them for your urine. It's $1.50 per test strip. And in 3 minutes time, you will know without a doctor whether you have diabetes or not. You don't even need to know how to read because it's all color coded. Okay. And so I urge you to do your own physicals every month for $1.50. You can't go wrong there. And of course, for your family, you can all chip in and buy the blood pressure cuff and all that kind of stuff. And once a month, for $5, a total of $5, you could do everybody in the family's physical. Once a year, do a hair analysis. Get the book Rare Earths and Cures. Chapter 11 tells you how to collect the hair, how to box it up, where to ship it to. 2 weeks later, you get the results back. You get charts and tables and all the results. And of course, the book, again, Rare Earths and Cures, Chapter 11 tells you how to interpret all this, whether you're absorbing or not, what you need to give extra of and why, and so on. So to not do this, and you're checking the oil in your car, but you're not checking the oil on yourself. It doesn't make sense to me, okay? And so why is it the metabolic syndrome? Why is it these pre-existing conditions are so important with COVID? Well, when you get COVID, you're dependent on your immune system to protect you. This is why 3-year-olds, when they get COVID, they get a temperature rise from 98.6 to 99.4. You can't even class it as a fever. They have minor common cold-like symptoms for 3 days, and then it's all over, no problem. When a 63-year-old, 73-year-old, or 83-year-old gets the COVID, they're in trouble, especially if they have these pre-existing conditions, because it means they're not getting enough nutrition to maintain themselves. And their immune system, which is their bone marrow, which makes white blood cells and T lymphocytes, which is the most powerful of the white blood cells, makes red blood cells, makes platelets, and also makes stem cells that make antibodies to go kill, and of course the white blood cells eat the viruses and so on. And so you need these nutrients. And when you have these pre-existing conditions, and many people have 6 and 8 and 10 and 12 of them, And you know people, or you've heard of people who have high blood pressure and diabetes, or on kidney dialysis. They have liver issues, they have thyroid issues, and they have arthritis and back problems, and they're losing their vision, and they got ringing in their ears and hiccups and all, Parkinson's disease and all this stuff. Those are all nutritional deficiency diseases. I'll repeat that. Those are all nutritional deficiency diseases, which says your bone marrow is in the same trouble. The biggest cause of death from people who die with COVID, you notice how I worded that, the people who die with COVID, not from COVID, but with COVID, COVID can be their 19th disease, is because they're not getting enough nutrition to their bone marrow to make their defenses. And most of them who die with COVID die of blood clots in their capillaries. They hemorrhage to death. And these are people who've been going in every month to get a B12 and iron shot, because if they took iron and B12 orally, nothing would happen, because they've been eating gluten all their life. Their intestines are dead. They can absorb sugar and calories, but they cannot absorb nutrients. Okay, now the same thing is true with kidney. Now, when I was a pathology student back in the 1960s, they would bring trays of kidneys from people that are, doing kidney transplants on, who are on dialysis or would need dialysis or kidney transplant. And they chose kidney transplant. They would bring the kidneys to me, and I'd look at them under the microscope and say, "Hey, there's nothing wrong with these kidneys. You get these from the right people?" They said, "Yeah, these are people with, they had kidney failure for years, and they finally decided to do a kidney transplant rather than stay on the dialysis." And I said, "Well, there's something wrong here, because there's nothing wrong with these kidneys." And then I looked deeper into the arteries, and all the arteries were plugged. The reason why the blood tests were showing the kidneys were not filtering the blood was because they weren't getting the blood. The arteries bringing the dirty blood into the kidneys were plugged. So I started treating the arteries, and suddenly now I could get rid of the need for dialysis. One of my more recent ones, I do this literally thousands of times a year, but this one was spectacular up in Canada. This guy, this individual, he'd been on dialysis for 25 years. And the last 10 years, he couldn't urinate. So he couldn't urinate at all. So they had him on dialysis 6 days a week, had not peed in 10 years. He'd been totally on dialysis for 25 years because he didn't want a kidney transplant. He was kind of against that. I think it was against his religious principles. And so I put him on the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, got him off all the bad foods so he could maximize absorption, gave him the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, which is our big hammer in the toolbox, covers a lot of things. And then I gave him our Ultimate Daily Classic tablets, which support healthy blood pressure, but also support healthy blood flow through blocked arteries. And in 2 weeks' time, this guy's urinating again. After 10 years of not urinating, they dropped him from 6 days a week of dialysis to 3 days a week. And by 4 weeks' time, he was totally off of dialysis. Now, I do this hundreds of times a year for people with that degree of damage to their arteries or kidneys. Now, also, their kidneys at this stage will release a hormone called renin, R-E-N-N-I-N, which drives the blood pressure up, hoping to get more dirty blood into the kidney. Because the blood pressure goes up, you're going to go through those blocked arteries. And so the kidney's smarter than most doctors. But yeah, people who are on dialysis, very easy to get off of dialysis, okay? But you have to do it by the numbers. You just can't quit your dialysis. You can only do it as your numbers for your kidney issues begin to drop. You can slowly reduce the number of dialyses and so forth. This is actually quite simple. It's a cardiovascular problem. It's not a kidney problem. A cardiovascular disease, again, is the #1 cause of death in hospitals, as they say, Johns Hopkins. And all of the diseases that occur in the cardiovascular system are nutritional deficiencies. Now, some of them are aggravated by eating bad foods, fried foods, processed meats, we get oxidative damage to the arteries. Cholesterol is your best friend. Cholesterol does not cause plaque in the arteries. There is no cholesterol in the plaque in arteries. Cholesterol does not cause heart disease. Cholesterol makes up 75% of your brain weight. It's the white matter of your brain, okay? Cholesterol makes up 95% of the weight of testosterone. And boys, if you have ED, erectile dysfunction, or prostate problems, or both, you better be eating 3 eggs 3 times a day. Now, I'm 81 years old, and I eat 3 eggs twice a day with soft yolks or soft boiled, soft poached, or even soft scrambled in butter. And this morning, alternate, I had 2 medium-sized sweet potatoes, and I had some smoked salmon with my eggs. I had all my 90 essential nutrients, and I also had a couple of these 4-ounce containers of yogurt. Now that was my breakfast this morning. Okay, now I'll have a big lunch when the time comes here after getting off of this wonderful program. But again, most people think I'm 50 years old when they look at me because I don't have any wrinkles. Okay, my bones, I mean, I don't have any problems whatsoever. I've never had a disease after I was 9 years old. When I was 9 years old was the last time I had a disease. I've had injuries because I go to a lot of construction sites and stuff like that in Canada and Mexico and the United States and in Australia, New Zealand, and the Philippines, especially when I was in the Air Force. I have injuries, but I don't have any diseases. I don't have high blood pressure. I don't have diabetes. I don't have arthritis. I don't have any of that stuff. And I only have one tooth missing at 81. That was knocked out in a fight. But the other two guys, they lost all their teeth. And they both weighed 200 pounds. I only weighed 142 pounds. Okay, because I had 7 years in the Army, 20 years in the Air Force, and then of course I wrestled and played football in high school and the university. So I know how to handle myself, and I'm in very good shape. And everybody can add 25 to 50 healthy years to their life by getting rid of the bad foods and doing the good stuff. And again, I'm going to go back to this red warning light concept. When you have somebody in your family who has kidney failure, they're on dialysis, or they're talking about dialysis, or they have high blood pressure, they have diabetes, they're obese, they're 20 pounds or more overweight, they have elevated triglycerides. These are people who need to get off all the bad foods: no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, butter, rye, and oats. They need to get on the 90 essential nutrients, 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 3 fatty acids. We have secret sauces for specific diseases that you can add to that to speed up the process. Don't just take the secret sauce because it's the secret sauce that goes with the 90, okay? And people always wonder, what's in it? What's in it? Because they want to run to Walgreens and buy that nutrient. And then they say, well, I tried what Wallach said for 6 months and it didn't work, so he's full of nonsense. Well, they didn't take the 90 essential nutrients. They didn't get off the bad foods, okay? And so you have to do the whole thing. And you will be blessed by adding 25 to 50 healthy years to your life. And if you get COVID, I'm not worried about COVID, because if I get it, I will react to it like a 3-year-old reacts to it. I'll get it for 3 days. My temperature might go up by, a half a point or something like that. But COVID is not going to kill me because I don't have any pre-existing conditions. I don't have any of the red warning lights. And again, I'm 81 years old. It's one of those things where these things are predictable. And if you look at the, let's look at 2 different states. Let's look at California and let's look at Hawaii, okay? And when you look at California and Hawaii eats more like Asia, and they were under the influence of Asians since their beginning, before they became a state with us, which was after the Second World War, when we took them away from the Japanese, essentially. They have 1.5 million people, total population. Of course, that's their permanent population. They have millions of people go through there all the time, for tourism and so forth. But they have 10,800, almost 11,000 infected people from COVID. They have 100 deaths. Now, you look at, let's look at, let's see here. I'm looking at, let's look at California with 40 million. They have 14,451 deaths and 760,000 infections. Now let's look at Canada, which is more similar to California. California has 39 million people. Canada has 38 million people, okay? And California has 760,000 infections and 14,000 deaths. Canada has 138,000, maybe 139,000, like one-fifth of the population, okay? Or the population is very similar, 39 million versus 38 million, but their number of infections, California has 5 times the number of infections that Canada does, and Canada has half the deaths, about half the deaths. So what's going on there? Well, California is 32% Latinos, and they all live on wheat, barley, rye, and oats. They live on wheat, barley, rye, and oats. So they get this intestinal damage. They can't absorb nutrients. So they have a very high rate of infections and a very high rate of deaths in the Latino community, which the Canadians do not have. Then you look, let's see here. Let's look at Mexico. Let's look at Mexico with 129 million people versus the Philippines with 100 million people. And the Philippines have 269,000 infections with 4,000 deaths. The Mexicans, okay, have 676,000 infections, which is 4 times as many infections as the Filipinos have. And they have, sorry about that, they have 71,000 deaths in Mexico versus 4,000 deaths in the Philippines. So what's the difference? Well, everything that the Mexicans eat have flour in it, flour tortillas, pan, which is bread. They also have cerveza, their beers, all made from wheat, bran, and oats. Okay, pan is the bread, and it's wheat for breakfast. They have pancakes and waffles, and the breakfast of champions, Wheaties, and oatmeal, and so forth. Whereas the Philippines is mostly rice, like Asia. There's no gluten in rice. Okay. And then let's look at China and India. China has 1.4 billion people. India has 1.4 billion people. Very similar, just a few thousand apart, okay, in total population. But the Chinese people have 4,600 deaths. The people from India have 80,000 deaths. The people in India have 5 million infections, and the people in China have 85,000 infections. So what's the difference? Well, the northern 1/3 of India are all wheat-eating peoples. They have 95% of the deaths and 86% of the infections in India. The southern 2/3 of India are all rice-eating peoples, and they only have 5% of the deaths and only 14% of the infections. And they're the same people in India, okay? Whether it's north or south, it's just in the mountains, they can't grow rice. Okay, so they grow rice in the south, and they're the ones that have only 5% of the deaths, as opposed to 95% of the deaths in the north, where they all live on wheat. So these are things that I knew this back in October of 2019. I began saying it at that time. Get off of gluten, look at your red warning lights, get on your longevity programs to get rid of, don't manage your pre-existing conditions. You want to get rid of them, which means you got to get rid of all the bad foods so you can maximize absorption. You want to get rid of the wheat, bran, and oats, get rid of the fried foods, processed meats, and oils, and then get on the 90 essential nutrients. And we could end this COVID thing like in 90 days if everybody would do this. Okay, but everybody wants a vaccine. I want to keep eating my oatmeal for breakfast. I want to keep eating my spaghetti from Spaghetti Factory every Wednesday. Okay, well, you better start measuring yourself for a coffin, okay? Because if you get the COVID, you have a high probability of dying or being totally destroyed, and so you will be an invalid if you survive, because you wouldn't give up the bad foods and allow your intestines to absorb the nutrients to allow you to maintain and repair yourself. It's that simple. And so I'm kind of excited. We do have a bunch of new tools. These new tools right now, we have a DVD, which I've talked to you about them before, but now we have it also in a CD. It's called Is Your Doctor Killing You? And it's based on all the details of that stuff from Johns Hopkins, where the #3 cause of death in American hospitals is medical errors. Okay, Is Your Doctor Killing You? We have the CD and the DVD. And then we also have one coming along. It's called the Red Warning Light. It goes into the very efficient way to approach, prevent, and reverse these pre-existing conditions. And you take people who are very rich, Rebecca, and I'm going to talk about a guy by the name of Herman Cain. Do you remember Herman Cain?
Oh yeah, the godfather of pizza.
That's right. He was the CEO of Godfather Pizza, 74 years old. And the last day of June of this year, 2020, he gets diagnosed with COVID. They put him in a private hospital, and they're giving him oxygen and intravenous drugs for killing viruses and so forth. Before the last day of July, less than 30 days later, he's dead from complications of COVID. they do the autopsy, and I read his autopsy in great detail, which was published. Remember, he's only 74 years old, but he had 8 pre-existing conditions. You just look at his picture and see he was obese. Obesity is the #1 pre-existing condition that people have when they die from COVID. So he had it. Also, he had arthritis and he was obese. Okay, obese, arthritis, and he had also, he had colon cancer, which they diagnosed, said he was in remission. Those are 3 of his 8 different pre-existing conditions. And so, why is it that they did not get rid of his pre-existing conditions? Well, because they were just treating his symptoms and he was happy. Now, I would have to look at the slides to see if he really had colon cancer or did he have ulcerative colitis? Did he have celiac disease? Did he have Crohn's disease, which are due to gluten? Now, what is the pizza, Godfather's pizza crust made out of? Gluten alert, gluten alert, gluten alert, gluten alert.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you he was a loyal user of his own product. And that's why he was obese. Okay. Now, obesity is caused by mineral deficiencies because you get a symptom called pica, which makes you eat when you're deficient in those minerals. And that's why there weren't too many people who were overweight prior to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday, September 4th, 1882, on Pearl Street in New York City in the bluff overlooking the construction of the Brooklyn Bridge. Thomas Edison pulled the switch, started the first commercial electric generating plant. Within 10 years, everybody in America is obese. Okay, well, if you wanted to see an obese person before that, you had to go to a circus, okay, or to, you know, one of these traveling expositions or something, see the fat lady who's 200 pounds. Well, now our fat ladies are 400 pounds, 500 pounds. I get them by the hundreds every year, okay? And I can get them to lose a half a pound to 2 pounds a day because it's a mineral deficiency. You give them all the nutrients, give them extra minerals, and it all goes away. They stop eating. So I don't know why, but I'm not hungry anymore. That's because mineral deficiencies cause this behavior called pica. In kids, it's called cribbing. When they used to chew on the crib rail, that's why they put that fiberglass sheath on the crib rail so the kids won't eat the crib. They call it cribbing. When a horse eats the top rail in their stall in the barn, they call it cribbing because they look like a kid eating their crib. Okay?
Yep.
Okay, that's why they call it that. And that was because after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday, September 4th, 1882, on Pearl Street in New York City in the bluff overlooking the construction of Brooklyn Bridge, our source of minerals went away. Our source of minerals was wood ashes from wood stoves. My job as a kid was to take the wood ashes out every morning and put them in the garden. Well, I was happy when electricity came when I was 9 years old because guess what? I didn't have to take the wood ashes outside anymore in the cold days in the wintertime and so forth because we didn't have any wood stove anymore because we had an electric stove. Everybody thought that was a good deal, but it turned out it was the death of modern man. Okay, it was electricity because people didn't know how to handle it. And I urge everybody again to get a hold of the book Immortality. There's a CD that goes along with it, Immortality. And this book will teach you how to add 25 to 50 healthful years to your life. What things to give up, what things to make sure you do. And of course, along with that, April 16th, 2013, I got my 10th win in federal court. A federal judge ruled in my favor. I've been suing him for like 25 years for 10 times. I've won every time. And that's because in 1939, some clever guys came up with baby formulas, infant formulas, Enfamil, Similac, that kind of stuff, because all the young women were going into the factory to make bullets and guns and things for the Second World War. They couldn't breastfeed their babies anymore. So some clever guy came up with the baby formulas so that grandma and grandpa and, you know, maybe even an older teenager could feed the babies while mom's in the factories making bullets. But they only put 3 minerals in there. There were 57 short. So these babies started getting all these diseases, which doctors, in their greed and stupidity, said they were all genetic diseases. They were just simple nutritional deficiencies. Well, April 16th, 2013, my 10th win in federal court, the judge ruled in my favor because part of the case, we gave them the English version of Dr. Milan and my study we did in Qishan, China, where we did 1,700 autopsies on kids under the age of 10. They all died of this hypertrophic cardiomyopathy heart disease, which is a deficiency of a single nutrient. We've been trying to get people to put it in the baby formulas, and doctors would say, medical doctors would say, oh, that's poisonous. Don't put it in the baby formulas. Okay, was it just ignorance on their part, or did they want to keep the customers coming? Either one, it doesn't matter. They were killing millions of kids all over the world every year by not putting that nutrient in the baby formulas. Well, at any rate, ruled in our favor. April 16, 2013. Well, a year and a half later, September 13, 2014, big headlines in the Charlotte Observer. I mean, it's like Third World War in boldness and big letters on the front page of the Charlotte Observer. We don't know why, but sudden death syndrome has vanished in the state of North Carolina. 3 months later, state of Missouri, the same thing. We don't know why, but sudden death syndrome has vanished in the state of Missouri. 3 months later, in every newspaper in the world, we don't know why, but the diagnoses of sudden death syndrome has dropped dramatically by 85 to 95% all over the world. That's because they forced them to put that nutrient in there. And that federal judge who knew nothing about medicine, but saw that report on 1,700 autopsies, which they cannot deny. It's in 3 languages, including English. The Biology of Trace Element Research, 1990, was published, so you can look it up and see if I'm lying to you or not. But it also gets rid of this hypertrophic cardiomyopathy heart disease, which causes 25,000 kids under the age of 20 years old to drop dead during the sports. It's that sudden heart death that they get, you know, when they play sports and they die of the sudden heart death. It's that same nutritional deficiency. They're just a little bit older. This occurs in older people also, okay? And sometimes if they survive it, because it's a degree of damage, it's not just all or nothing. So some people, they'll get that heart attack, but they'll survive. And now they call it the broken heart syndrome. Too much stress in your life. No, it's a deficiency of a single nutrient. But whenever a doctor does not know something, he's not going to say, you know, I'm going to have to research a little bit. I really don't know what caused this. He's going to say, it's your genes. Your genes are causing the problem. Well, along with Bruce Lipton, who I'm going to do an interview with tomorrow, I'm considered one of the 2 fathers of the science of epigenetics. Epigenetics has replaced genetics. The death of the genetic theory of disease transmission. Because I'm going to say this very clearly. There are no genetically transmitted diseases. There are no genetically transmitted birth defects. And that's based on my thesis for my postdoctoral fellowship, which I finished in 1977. Okay, started in 1967. I did 20,000 autopsies, including 17,000 and some change of over 454 species of zoo animals and 3,000 humans. This book represents 8,000 human autopsies, okay? They were supposed to have genetic diseases. And it's all nonsense. There are no such things as genetic diseases. And that's why my thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute, Rebecca, as a national treasure. Went in there in 1977. W.B. Saunders, I'm going to tell you this for credibility. W.B. Saunders, big medical publishing house for all the medical textbooks in the industrialized world, they signed a contract with the university, Washington University, where I did the study in St. Louis. They published 30,000 copies of my thesis, okay?
Only 30,000?
Yeah, no, that was the original printing. They put it under hardcover and made it a textbook, but they edited it down from 5,000 pages to 1,200 pages, because 5,000 pages, you know, would have been 12 inches thick. So they didn't want to come out with a series. They didn't want to make it 5 books. They just wanted to make it 1 book. So they cut it down to 1,200 pages. And it sold then, brand new, in the box, unopened. And it still sells today, the same price, unopened, in the box, brand new, for $25,000 a copy. Within 6 months' time, all 30,000 had been sold. Now, they republished it. Now, of course, it's going into all the medical libraries. All the pharmaceutical companies are buying it. It's going crazy. Well, today you can go on Siri and ask, are there any, and of course, there's 2 versions. It's the book of Epigenetics, the death of the genetic theory of disease transmission. And on all the animal autopsies, they put it into the book. It's called Diseases of Exotic Animals, okay? Because they were shocked And all these 454 different species of vertebrates got the same genetic diseases that we got. Well, that's because they weren't genetic diseases. They were just simple nutritional deficiencies. Okay, and they're eating food in the zoos that humans are eating, so they're getting the same diseases we were getting. And that's why my thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute. So you can ask Siri today, are there any of Dr. Wallach's book, Diseases of Exotic Animals, available for sale? And Siri will give you a whole list of them, okay? And if they're brand new in the box, they still sell for $25,000 each. If they're used but in acceptable condition, they'll sell for 8, 9, 10, 12, 15,000. If they're in bad shape, cover ripped off, and a lot of notes in the margins and dog-eared and so forth, you might be able to get one for 4,500 is the cheapest. And that one is beat up, okay? I'm telling you that for credibility, because nobody else, I've done a total over the years, 32,000 autopsies, and there are no genetically transmitted diseases. All birth defects are preventable. All birth defects are preventable. All birth defects are preventable. Well, what about sickle cell anemia? No, that's a deficiency early in pregnancy when the bone marrow cells are forming that make hemoglobin. And if you're black, you get sickle cell anemia. If you're white, yellow, or red, you get, thalassemia, because you can't have a black gene, so they call it a different name. And so I figured all that out, okay? There are no genetically transmitted diseases. Every birth defect you can name, okay, was found in these other species of vertebrates. And we've got time, I can tell you I think I probably told this story before, but it's worth telling it again. When I was doing my autopsies in the St. Louis Zoo and the Brookfield Zoo in Chicago, in the Brookfield Zoo in Chicago, they called me up and said, Dr. Wallach, we're going to bring you a bunch of baby foxes. We have 2 wild-caught Arctic foxes that had babies, and all 10 babies. These are wild-caught foxes, perfect condition, but they had 10 babies, and they're all born with a cleft palate. So we just want you to, give them the injection, destroy them. We're going to go ahead and put the mom and dad to sleep also. We can't have imperfect animals with genetic defects in the zoo. He said, don't kill them. No. I've been waiting for something like this forever. Perfect. What I want you to do is immediately tell me what you were feeding those foxes. Well, they're meat eaters, so we gave them horse meat. Okay, did you give them any vitamins and minerals? No, we just gave them horse meat. They're meat eaters. Okay, well, that's why they had these baby foxes with cleft palates, because it's a deficiency during the developmental stage of those embryos. Okay, so what I want you to do is start giving the mom and dad dog food. Just start giving them dog food every day instead of horse meat. Okay, we can do that. Now, the baby foxes are only a couple of days old now, right? Yeah, well, what you do is go get these milk replacers. If you're going to bottle raise a puppy that is rejected, or you're going to take it away from the mother for some reason or another, and get on an airplane, so you're going to have a baby puppy formula to feed it. I want you to have a couple of keepers who will feed those 10 baby foxes this baby milk replacer for puppies. And when they're 6 months old, they'll go through puberty. And then I want you to take one of those male puppies and put with the mother. One of the female puppies I want you to put with the dad. The other puppies I want you to put the brothers and sisters together and make couples and pairs. And then it's 61 days for their gestation, for their pregnancy, 61, 62 days. And so it's going to be about maybe a year and a half. I'll expect to hear from you. So a year and a half later, I get this call. Remember those Arctic foxes? Yeah. Well, they've all started having babies now. We have 100 babies born from all these baby foxes with the cleft palates, and brother and sister, mom and baby son and dad and baby daughter. Okay. Well, out of the 100, how many of them had cleft palates? They got quiet for about 30 seconds and they said none. Okay, now I proved my point, didn't I? So that was written up in scientific journals, published in scientific journals. Okay. It was also published in the book Rare Earths Forbidden Cures. Rare Earths Forbidden Cures. It's also published in Epigenetics, and also in Black Gene Lies, because there's so many diseases supposed to be genetic in the Black community, right? And there's a Pastor Creflo Dollar from Atlanta, Georgia. He had, and one of his people who were working with me called me, gosh, it's got to be 30 something years ago. He had a daughter who was born with a, quote, a genetic form of asthma in black kids, unquote. And they said she would not live to be 12 years of age. And they said, you know, just take good care of her like you can, but she's going to go. She could die tomorrow, next week, 6 months of age, 6 years of age, but she's not going to live to be 12. So I said, well, you just keep me informed, but I want you to, you know, give her all the 90 essential nutrients. Well, the doctor said, don't give her any vitamins and minerals. Well, that always makes my suspicious antennae go up when they say don't give them any vitamins and minerals right out of their mouth. So when this little girl's 12 years old now, she's having 6 attacks a day, 10 attacks a day from her asthma. The doctor said, okay, this is it. She's 12 years old. She's not going to live till her next birthday. And so she might as well get prepared for that. So they call me and I said, yeah, I can fix her. And so in 2 weeks' time, I cured her. So Pastor Dollar was just ecstatic, as you can imagine. He says, okay, now, Dr. Wallach, you have to answer a question for me. He says, we have all these genetic diseases in black people. High blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, heart disease, cancer, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, all these things, kidney disease, kidney failure, arthritis, and they're all said to be genetic disease in the black community. There's nothing you can do about it. Just get treatment for it until you die. I said, well, no, sir, that's not true. There are no genetic diseases. My thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute because I prove that. Even in black folks, there's no genetic diseases. And he said, well, I'm going to give you a bunch of people who are seniors I have several churches, and they have all these diseases. I said, I can reverse them. Well, in 3 months' time, I reversed them all. And again, he paid for the first 10,000 copies of this book to be published. He had me speak at his church, and we made a CD out of it by the same title, Black Gene Lies. There are no genetic diseases in black folks. And with all this stuff going on here now with Black Lives Matter, that's true. I'm going to tell you a great story. Slaves always outlived the plantation owners. Okay, in 1830, there were 10 times more slaves who had lived to be 100 than there were plantation owners. Most plantation owners died in their 40s and 50s and 60s, where the slaves would live to be 110, 112, and they gave them an affectionate term. They couldn't call him sir because that's what was royalty. Okay, they didn't want to call him Mr. because that was the plantation owners. So they would call him Uncle Tom or Uncle Remus, which started out as an endearment term because these people were 100 years old. Also with Aunt Jemima, the cook in the house. She was 100 years old and three wives had died over her lifetime who were wives of the plantation owners because the plantation owners wanted to be like royalty, and they would just eat a big chunk of meat on the bone. Arr, 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 arr. And the black slaves got all the bad stuff. They got pig's feet, chicken feet, liver, all the organ meats, which had the trace minerals and minerals in it. And that's why they lived to be 110, 112, and the plantation owners died at 45. Okay, so isn't that crazy?
That's incredible. That is so incredible. And
it's all in here.
It's all in there. And when it comes to genes, I love the fact that there are no genetic diseases.
That's correct. Not in black folks, white folks, red folks, yellow folks. There's no genetic diseases in any vertebrate, no animal. There are no genetic diseases. Now, farmers kind of knew this because, and I learned this when I was 9. I learned it when I was 9 because they were going to put me in an institution. I had a disease that nobody had a name for back then. I was very aggressive. I would hurt other people starting when I was 4. And between age 4 and 9, 5 years, my mom and dad, we lived on this little Angus farm out in the middle of Missouri. So they'd bring me into St. Louis. We go, over 5 years, I went to 20 different doctors. Okay, they'd all give me different drugs and different this, different that, different treatments, but they never could fix it. It just kept getting worse. I got more and more different diseases. So finally, the 20th doctor is a little old lady, grandmotherly type, pediatrician. Her name was Mary Jane Skeffington from St. Louis. I'll never forget her name. And she had to be in her 80s, seen a lot of kids go through, right? And they didn't have a name. They didn't have a name for what I had. Today they have a name for it. But at any rate, she said, we're going to have to institutionalize him because he's going to hurt somebody. He may even kill you, meaning my mother. and the only way we can protect everybody, including him, is to institutionalize him. So I said, well, Mom, what does that mean? And she said, well, they're going to put you in a hospital. I said, well, how long am I going to be in there? And she said, well, maybe for the rest of your life. Well, that didn't sound good to a 9-year-old. So that night when everybody else went to bed, I'm sitting on the end of my bed with my head in my hands. I'm saying, I'm going to be put away in an institution for the rest of my life. I'm saying, well, I'm eating the same thing that our calves and our pigs and our chickens and turkeys are eating. And they don't have what I've got. How come I have this disease and those animals don't have it? We're eating the same thing out of the same garden. Okay, that was my reasoning. I said, oh, that's not true, because not only am I eating the same food they're eating in the garden, but we're giving them vitamins and minerals, and we're not taking the vitamins and minerals. So the next day, I threw my Cheerios out on the lawn to the chickens, and I got their little alfalfa pellets, which had all the hay and grain and stuff like that in them. But I also got a handful of their vitamins and minerals and started taking that. As God is my witness, Rebecca, in 3 days' time, I was cured. After 5 days, 5 years of getting worse and worse, I was cured in 3 days after eating their alfalfa pellets with all a handful of vitamins and minerals every day. So I realized I knew something that doctors didn't know when I was 9 years old. And in a month, going to church every Sunday, remember, I'm disrupting the church. So I had to be in the back of the room. When I got too wild during the services, they'd take me outside and throw the ball to me or something, keep me busy, so I didn't disrupt the church service. But after a month, they noticed that I was singing the Psalms with everybody else and was a good citizen in the church. And finally, this little old lady came up to me, I'll never forget. She had to be in her 80s, and she waddled up maybe 50 pounds overweight. And she says, I hear you can cure my diabetes. And I said, ma'am, I'm 9 years old. I have no earthly idea what diabetes is. I don't know if I can help you. And she says, well, they say you can. Okay. So on that night, I went and I looked up diabetes in the animal books, which we had in our little library in the house. And they said it was due to a nutritional deficiency. So we got those nutrients and gave it to that little old lady, and we cured her diabetes when I was 9 years old. Okay, because type 2 diabetes is not a genetic disease. Type 2 diabetes is a simple nutritional deficiency disease. And I take people who've been diabetics for, say, 30 years, and 30 days are next diabetic. I take people who for, say, 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 years, their A1C hemoglobin, which is how people monitor how well they're managing their diabetes, their A1C, which should be below 5, are running 15 to 19 to 20 for 5 or 10 years. We'll put them on our program for type 2 diabetes, and in, say, 6 weeks, their A1C drops for the first time in 6-10 years, drops down to 5 from 19, okay? And so this is what we do, because it's all, these red warning lights are all nutritional deficiencies. And remember, you do not want that red warning light on by having the metabolic syndrome, all these pre-existing conditions. Just remember, a billionaire, Herman Cain, was treated by the best doctors in America, private hospital, and they killed him. Okay, they killed him, okay, because they didn't give him the proper treatment before he got COVID, and they didn't give him the proper treatment after he got COVID. And so I'll lay his death to their feet. They killed him, okay, because they didn't do the correct thing for a billionaire. What are they going to do for you? So I urge you to get a hold of these books, get a hold of the CDs, and you can go to drjwallach.com, drjwallach.com, and you can get a hold of my books and CDs and DVDs. And I want you to listen to Rebecca and John T. and learn how to help us get the word out there and work with George Norrie. We're so excited about being on the team. And so I'm going to throw this back to you, because I know we have a little bit of time left in this first segment. Is there anything you want me to cover before we go to the break?
Yes. So again, thank you everybody for being here with us with Ask Doc Live. He is just an encyclopedia of knowledge and giving you what has been scientifically proven to be the underlying causes. And I love the fact that it's addressing the underlying causes. We don't have to have those symptoms. Old age, heart disease, kidney disease, that does not have to be in your future.
That's correct.
And the fact that you mentioned a couple things, Dr. Wallach, people that had been on dialysis for decades, and it's not too late.
Oh yeah, no, dialysis is a useful thing, but you want to get to the main cause of the need for dialysis is not a kidney issue, it's an artery issue. So you need to get rid of all the fried foods, the processed meats, the oils, the glutens to stop the oxidative damage to the lining of your arteries. You get on the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, you get on the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets, which will support healthy blood pressure and healthy blood flow through blocked arteries. If you're staying away from the bad stuff, your arteries will heal themselves within 30 to 60 days, okay? And you'll be able to get off of dialysis. You know, I get so many people, Rebecca, who've been really brittle diabetics for 30 years, or they've gone blind, they've had their feet amputated, all the things that are attributed to secondary complications of diabetes. And in 30 days of my program for diabetes, which is the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, and I throw in the sweeties to help their cells in their body be sensitive to their own insulin, okay? They're sensitive to their own insulin. Because you have to be sensitive to the insulin. Well, you require these nutrients to sensitize the cells to insulin. You're missing those nutrients. Well, I've been supplementing with those nutrients. Well, it doesn't matter. If you're still eating gluten, your intestines are damaged, so you can't absorb them. And that's why when the doctor gave you the shot of insulin in his office, before he took the needle out of you, your blood sugar dropped down into the normal levels, okay? Because suddenly now you had insulin there. When you're taking the medicine orally, okay, or the nutrients orally, it doesn't work because you cannot absorb efficiently because all your intestines are damaged from the gluten. And that's why they could give you this magic shot which would go around the intestine and it would work. Heal your intestine, you'll add 25 to 50 healthful years to your life. Okay, remember? Of course, we have another book that goes along with this called Hell's Kitchen, goes into obesity and diabetes, which are the two most common things in the red warning light CD that's coming out to help you survive COVID if you get it. I mean, the whole world could get COVID and nobody die if everybody would do what I'd say.
I did some quick math, Dr. Wallach, when you were going over Hawaii, you know, and the population and the deaths. I mean, we're looking at 0.00006%
in Hawaii, yeah.
In Hawaii. That's just incredible. So I just want to remind everybody that the information that's shared here is information to help educate you. The FDA requires us to let you know that our products are not meant to treat, prevent, diagnose, or cure any disease. But we are so honored to be able to have such extensive research that has proven and has been published and has even been taken to court to prevail when it comes to nutrition. And
that research, yeah, well, thank you, Rebecca. And that research is in the Smithsonian Institute as a national treasure.
I was getting to that.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
No worries, no worries. But I just want to remind everybody that this is nutritional education information, and it's not meant to take the place of your primary care physician. But be empowered. Be empowered. You know, listen to the research. Dr. Wallach has been doing this for decades. I know so many people he had mentioned with the A1C that is, I know people that have been 11, 12, and now down in the 5s, personally. He mentioned all of these pre-existing conditions. 75% of them I had, and I no longer. So I truly, truly appreciate Dr. Wallach, all of his research, the formulas that he has been so instrumental in putting together to benefit us as a whole. Doesn't matter where we live, all around the world. Now, Dr. Wallach, before we go to break, something else that you had mentioned was sickle cell anemia. And I have an email that came in from a mama, her son Davison. He was born with sickle cell disease. At 23 months of age, he got his spleen removed. He had multiple blood transfusions, tons of pain, including acute chest pain. He has an enlarged heart, but it's not affecting him, which is good. In 2017, he had his adenoids removed. His oxygen levels in his lungs is not very good. He has growth hormone deficiencies. He's 14 years old, 85 pounds, 4'10". He is still having bedwetting problems and has some mild sleep apnea. She wants to know what she can do now to help him have the best life possible.
Okay, well, he and she and everybody else in the household, grandma, grandpa, dad, brothers and sisters, dog, cat, bird, fish, caregivers, people who come in to clean the house, everybody's got to be drop dead gluten-free. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, butter, rye oats, no sugar. I mean, I go through that fast, but that is the core of everything we do. You got to get rid of all these bad things. Then, at 85 pounds, I'd have him take 1 healthy brain and heart pack per month, get another bottle of selenium so he can take 3 selenium twice a day or 2, 3 times a day for a total of 6 of our selenium. Not any selenium. Our selenium has 5 cofactors added to it. There are no equivalents on the market. You can't run to Walgreens and get a bottle of selenium and say you're giving them the same thing I'm saying. Our healthy brain and heart pack has a bottle of selenium in it, but I don't want him to have more, so he's got to get that extra bottle of our selenium so he can take 3 twice a day or 2, 3 times a day. And then I also want him to take our Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. I want him to take 3 of those twice a day or 2, 3 times a day for a total of 6 a day. That's 2 bottles a month. Then I want him to take the de-stress capsules. He can take 3 of those twice a day. That's 2 bottles a month. I want him also to have the Ultimate Niacin Plus 1 twice a day. That's 1 bottle a month. I want him to also take the Sweeties so he can take 3 of those twice a day. That's 2 bottles a month. And then I want him to have the MSM. If I didn't say it, he needs the MSM, 1 bottle a month, so he could take 6 of those a day, 2, 2, and 2, or 3 and 3, which will help him rebuild his bone marrow and maximize the normal cells, okay? Does he have 3% sickle cells, 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%? What's the percentage? And then in 4 weeks and 6 weeks and 8 weeks and 10 weeks, look at that again and see that he might have 20% sickle cells, but after, say, 6 weeks on our program, he might only have 6% sickle cells instead of 20% sickle cells. Okay, now he'll never be able to totally get rid of it totally because he's got permanent damage to his bone marrow cells that make red blood cells and hemoglobin. Now, the problem here is the OBGYN that was taking care of his mother didn't make sure she was on the 90 essential nutrients before she got pregnant and didn't make sure she was absorbing everything because she was eating gluten. And that's why, you know, just like the cleft palates in those foxes, same principle. Same principle. Now, I can take a mother with sickle cell anemia and a father with sickle cell anemia and get them on the 90 essential nutrients, get them off of gluten, say for 3 months. And over a period of 25 years, have 25 babies between the mother and father, and none of those babies will be born with sickle cell anemia, just like none of those foxes were born with cleft palate. Same principle, because it's not a genetic problem.
Now, Dr. Wallach, is there anything that can be done with the growth hormone deficiencies?
Yeah, he's got to be eating 3 eggs twice a day with soft yolks. Okay, because all these hormones and things, pituitary gland, testicles. I mean, he's 17 years old, you say, 15, 17 years old.
He's
got to be
14 now.
Okay, well, if he hasn't gone through puberty, he's getting close to going through puberty, right? He also needs our Xera test, XERATEST. He can have 3 of those twice a day or 2, 3 times a day. And they give the Sertoli cells, which are the cells in the testicle that make testosterone. Okay, and usually when kids wet the bed, it's a blood sugar problem. They have reactive hypoglycemia. They eat a big dinner. They have a piece of pie with ice cream at bedtime. Then they get low blood sugar when they go to sleep, and they don't control their bladder, and they just pee in the bed. Okay, it's a low blood sugar problem in the middle of the night when they're asleep.
All right.
So, okay, that makes sense?
Yes, thank you so much for that. And I know Mom is on here listening, so I know she appreciates your input in that. He is on so many pharmaceuticals, Dr. Wallach, it would take me 20 minutes to read them.
Okay, well, she can't cold turkey take him off the pharmaceuticals, but as his diseases go away or the symptoms improve, she can reduce the amount of these pharmaceuticals based on the numbers. And then if she has any of those things left over, she needs to begin to send those to the pediatricians and the doctors and the endocrinologists and all these various doctors that she's taken them to. And it won't be, but if she does everything I say, within 3 to 6 months' time, he won't need any of those doctors anymore.
That's amazing. I mean, and I know that's good news for her, good news for all of us. Somebody else just mentioned in the chat that this is amazing. They know people with sickle cell.
Mm-hmm.
So I really appreciate you going in depth here with that. And I know they do as well. Now, for those of you who are listening, and this is your first time, get with the person that invited you to this call. If you are here because of an email invitation, you can go ahead and go to askdoclive.com. And we do have a store if you're interested in getting any of the products that Dr. Wallach is mentioning here today. And also for those of you who are new and you don't have somebody that referred you to this call, because we want you to get with the person who sent you here, we have a call team that's standing by. And they can be reached at 855-949-7234. Again, that's 855-949-7234. Now, Dr. Wallach, real quick before we go on break, a while back you had mentioned a pharmaceutical that would be beneficial for those with MS. And we have a listener that has been trying to find what that pharmaceutical MS.
MS. Okay, you sure it wasn't rheumatoid arthritis? RA?
Well, they're saying MS, but I know with rheumatoid arthritis, there's amazing one.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, well, MS, multiple sclerosis, it's not a pharmaceutical, okay? They want to get rid of all the bad foods, take 3 eggs twice a day per 100 pounds of body with soft yolks, hard-boiled eggs won't count. They need to take the de-stress capsules, 3 of those twice a day per 100 pounds of body weight. Ultimate niacin plus 1 of those twice a day per 100 pounds of body weight. The Synaptive, 3 of those twice a day per 100 pounds of body weight. Ultimate daily classic tablets, 3 of those twice a day per 100 pounds of body weight. And then lastly, I also want them to take, because in MS multiple sclerosis, they've got these little plaques the size of dimes and pennies scattered throughout the brain. They need to get rid of that. So they need something like let's see here. I would take Pollen Burst with our SOD, the grape flavor. It either comes in powder or capsule. They can take 2 servings a day of our Pollen Burst. Again, with the SOD, that's our grape flavored one. It's totally gluten-free. And then also the Cell Shield RTQ. They could take 3 of those twice a day. Those are antioxidants, anti-inflammatories, and they will help your brain, well, along with everything else. They can't just take it by themselves, but you got to have everything else to repair the brain, and those plaques will slowly go away with MS.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. So Dr. Wallach, let's go ahead and take our break because we are just a couple minutes after the hour. Everybody, we will be back in about 5 minutes. We thank you so much for joining us here on the Ask Doc Live program. It is our honor to be able to provide to you access to Dr. Wallach so that you can ask your questions and get information that is going to not address the symptoms, but actually work at the cause.
Okay.
And Dr. Wallach had mentioned once, you don't want to just take the secret sauce. If you were taking just the secret sauce, it's like building the second floor before you have your first floor even started. It's not going to happen. So I love the fact that everything is formulated to synergistically work together, Dr. Wallach.
Yeah, well, thank you. And of course, that's why my thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute of Natural Treasure. And I'm going to quote a very famous quote from Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Wallach. And everybody stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for sticking around. This is the Ask Doc live show, and we thank you so much for being here. And please share this show with other people, whether you are a first-time guest, whether you've been with us a long time as a customer, or even as a distributor. We are here to help you spread the word about nutrition and the alternatives that are available through an amazing group of products that, again, have been synergistically formulated to work together and people get results. Now, Dr. Wallach is always looking for more people. We are always looking for more people to help us spread this news. And there is a way that you can, one, help other people, but also financially benefit from it. So we do have a program where we are looking for people who are serious about health, people who, if you've been on the products and you want to take this to the next level and share your testimony, this opportunity is available to you, all of you. And for those of you who are new, haven't been working with anybody, or if you have been working with somebody as a distributor, get with them and tell them, hey, I want to take this to the next level. I want to be part of Dr. Wallach's crusade in getting people the message and the information they need so they can be empowered of their own health. Now, for those of you who are not working with anybody, I would like Jonty to come on and tell us where's the best place to reach out and say, hey, I'm interested, because we do have an area on one of our websites that you can fill out the little form. That information gets to us. We give you a call back and get all of your questions answered. So Jonty, if you don't mind.
Rebecca, you're talking about signing up as a distributor?
For people that are interested in more information, become a distributor. I know in the store, they can go to the store and there's enrollment packages and just go ahead and get started.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of videos there about becoming a distributor, and then certainly contacting us vis-a-vis askdoclive.com is a good route to go. So you can sign up as a distributor there, and you can contact us if you want to get a little bit more information and get in touch with somebody individually.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. So again, that's go to askdoclive.com. If you are ready, you know you want to get signed up, just visit the store. There's enrollment packages there that you can choose from, or go to the contact us, send us an email, and we will get back with you. Now, Dr. Wallach, if you could unmute yourself.
How's that?
That's much, much better. Much better. So we have a lot of hands up. We have a lot of questions in the chat, and I have a lot of emails with questions. You are a popular man.
Well, go for it, girl.
All right. So let's start with John, who has his hand up. John, if you could go ahead and unmute yourself, and that's John Brandt Jr.
Yes, good morning. I've called before. I'm 65, 168 pounds, 5'7" in San Antonio. And I did go to the doctor. The product's, like I said, since May the 28th. But I have Hydrocele in my scrotum area. The doctor told me about 10 days ago, he goes, it may go away. You have an absorption problem, or he goes, we can numb you, put a needle in there, or have surgery. And you know, I said to him, how many ounces do I have down in there right now, that Hydrocele? He said 6 to 10 ounces. And I says, I don't like a sack of potatoes down there. And two doctors looked at me, but so I'm wondering what are my options? You know, what do you recommend?
Okay, well, let me ask you a couple of quick questions here. Do you have any history of any skin problems, any eczema, dermatitis, psoriasis, or rosacea?
Well, on the back of my neck, I forget what I have. I have it written down. I saw a dermatologist, whereas in the back of my neck, I just don't have it directly in front of me. I get these little.
No. Okay, so you have some skin issue in the back of your neck. Okay. Do you have any bowel problems? Any constipation, diarrhea, irritable bowel syndrome,
No.
Crohn's disease, diverticulitis, ulcerative colitis, anything like that?
No.
Did you have appendicitis when you were a kid?
No,
Okay. Let's see here. Do you have any high blood pressure or diabetes?
no, and I'm not taking any medications now, zero, nothing.
Okay. Okay, good. Do you have any numbness in your fingers, your toes?
No,
Okay. Last question. Do you have anything going on in your head? Any ringing in your ears or balance problems?
no,
Okay. All right. So what I want you to do is get rid of all the bad stuff out of your diet. You've probably been working on that, but you really need to crank down and get rid of all the bad foods. No fried foods, no processed meats of any kind, absolutely no oils, absolutely no gluten, no wheat, no butter, rye, and oats. And I want you to live like an Asian, live on rice and sweet potatoes, and you can have vegetables and fish and poultry and red meat, but none of the bad stuff. You know, rice, no fried rice. You can have white rice, yellow rice, red rice, wild rice, but no fried rice. Then at 100, you said what, 168 pounds?
yes, 5'7".
Okay. At 168 pounds, I'd have you take 2 of the Healthy Brain and Heart Packs per month, 2 Healthy Brain and Heart Packs per month. But don't forget, you got to get rid of all the bad foods.
Right.
And then I want you, in addition to the 2 Healthy Brain and Heart Packs per month, I want you to take 3 eggs twice a day with soft yolks. Hard-boiled eggs won't count. And then I also want you to take our Zera test. I want you to take 3 of those twice a day. That'll be 2 bottles a month. They give your Sertoli cells what they need to make testosterone. All right.
What's
But if
that
you get
called?
off all the bad foods, the swelling it usually occurs when you have hydrocele in the scrotum and the testicles. That means that your return circulation from your legs and your groin up into your chest, your heart can pump the blood around, is in trouble because you have something going on with your intestines. And one of the secret giveaways is you had some skin problems on the back of your neck, which is a very special deficiency, which is very common with this gluten issue, okay? But this will go away. Do not do surgery.
But the fluid, that'll take care of the fluid?
Yeah, that's hydrocele. Hydrocele, the fluid, is the result of a strangulation of the return circulation,
Okay.
okay? But that'll all go away once you solve the problem, which is doing what I told you to do.
Okay. All right, thank you, thanks.
You bet.
All right, next, Dr. Wallach, we have Nancy, 64 years old, 5'4", 15 pounds. She wants to get rid of the redness in her eyes, which she has had for months. Her eyes do not feel dry, but the doctor says the problem is that forgive me on this one, meibomian glands in her eyelids are logged due to belphiratitis.
Okay. Meibomian glands, okay, which are the little glands produce moisture so that your eyes don't dry out, okay? And unfortunately, I'd like to ask her, does she have any ringing in the ears, any balance problems, any skin problems, that kind of stuff? You say she's how old, 74?
64 years old.
Oh, 64.
115 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, the odds are she has no tinnitus. Okay, no tinnitus. Okay, the odds are she has osteoporosis of the skull. Okay, and the skull is squeezing the roots of these 12 pairs of cranial nerves in the spinal cord itself. And so at 115 pounds, I wanted her to get rid of all the bad foods, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no gluten, no wheat, barley, rye, oats, no sugar. But she also needs to take 1 Healthy Brain and Heart Pack per month, get another bottle of selenium, so she could take 6 of those a day, 2, 2, and 2, and a half of those for everything else twice a day. I also want her to eat 3 eggs twice a day with soft yolks. Hard-boiled eggs won't count. And then, let's see here. Let's also go with the Synaptive. Let's go with the Synaptive. She could get 2 bottles of that and take 3 of those twice a day. Get 1 bottle of MSM, so she could take 3 of those twice a day. Then call us every couple of weeks, because these are very common problems as people get older. And when you have osteoporosis of the skull, your skull goes from being 1/4 of an inch thick to 1 inch thick. Okay, it used to be called Paget's disease when your skull gets 1 inch thick. I've changed it to my name, Wallach's disease, because Paget believed that it was a genetic problem. Okay, and I didn't want people to go 1,000 years thinking that it was a genetic problem and nothing you could do about it. And I call it Wallach's disease, and people say, well, you're kind of arrogant, Wallach, name it after yourself. Well, I named it after myself to create controversy so people would challenge me and look at it and look at the data and see that it is in fact a nutritional deficiency of the skull.
All right, thank you so much. And can you hear me okay? All right.
I can hear you.
Perfect. All right, so next, Dr. Wallach, we have a question. And James is asking, are there any folks that have no negative effects from eating gluten? And if so, how would that person determine it?
Okay, the problem is the gluten issue is not a off-on problem. Okay, it's a drip, drip, drip thing over years and years and years and years and years. That's why a 3-year-old can get COVID and just have 3 days of a minor common cold-like thing, even though the baby's been eating gluten since the time it's 3 months old to 3 years of age, but it's only maybe 1% or 0.5% of the damage in the intestines. But by the time you're 63 years old and 73 years old, and you've been eating gluten for 63 years and 73 years, now you have 97% damage to your intestines, and you only have 3% good. Okay, and so now you're going to start getting these symptoms. Well, I've been eating gluten all my life. Why suddenly now am I getting problems? Well, now because you have 97% of your intestines are damaged, or when you were 3 years old, you only had 3% of your intestines damaged. Okay, so that's why it's a time-related process. The only people who are not sensitive to gluten are dead people.
That's kind of a large group of people, but I don't want to be there yet.
You don't want to go there. You can
No.
add 25 to 50 healthy years to your life by getting off of gluten, getting off all the other bad foods, and taking the 90. You can add 25 to 50 healthy years. Take your choice.
I'll take it. I'll take it. So the next question has to do with eggs, because I know you're always saying, you know, soft boiled, soft scrambled, all this.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to know, is eating raw eggs actually more nutritious?
Okay, well, eating raw eggs is problematic because the white of the egg has an enzyme in it that destroys some nutrients. So if you're going to eat you want the eggs cooked as little as possible, you just want the white of the egg to go sort of foggy, and it'll kill those enzymes in the white of the egg. So they don't have to be soft boiled, but they do have to have the white of the egg turn foggy, opaque, so you can't see through it.
I love that. Perfect. Because I've often wondered that, and unfortunately,
remember Rocky would drink 6, 8, 10 raw eggs all the time, but we don't know how old Rocky lived. We know he was a champion because he was getting all that cholesterol from the raw eggs to make testosterone. That was cool. We don't know how long he lived.
That's true. All right, so next we have Mike, who is waiting with his hand patiently up. Go ahead, Mike, and unmute yourself. You are on live with Dr. Wallach.
Hi, Mike.
Doc, how are you today?
Okay, I have to speak up a little bit. I can barely hear you.
Okay, any better?
It's a little better.
Okay, let me,
There you go, that's better.
okay, perfect. But I wanted to ask you two things. Real quick, with coconut oil on the skin externally, what's your take on that?
Okay, you don't want to do that.
Okay,
Okay, you do not want to do that. You want to put something on your skin. You want to take Youngevity's skin program. Okay, we have all kinds of skin programs. We have all these beauty programs. We have things that are made from the sap of coniferous trees, and it keeps moisture in your skin and so forth. But it's not an oil. Okay, it's more like an amber type of thing. It's not an oil. It's kind of pre-pine oil kind of thing. Okay, yeah, you don't want to be putting any oil on your body, in your body, other than the omega-3s, omega-6s, which are our EFAs and EFA pluses, which come with our Healthy Start Pack and our Healthy, all our various packs.
also I noticed that some people you prescribe the both EFA plus and EFA. Tell me why.
Okay, I take both. I'm 81 years old. I take 3 of the EFAs twice a day, which is our omega-3s from seeds. And then I take 3 of the EFA pluses twice a day, also, which is the omega-3s from fish oils. Okay, plus this morning for breakfast, I had probably a couple ounces of smoked salmon, along with my sweet potatoes and my orange, my yogurt. And let's see, what else did I have? Oh, you know, I had my 90 essential nutrients, of course. And I did have, I said I had the orange. And, oh, I had sweet potatoes, I had rice, I ate a lot of wild rice. But you need these because they are part of the construction of various neurotransmitters. They help you transmit information. They also are normal for the cell walls of all your cells. They're the normal structural material for the cell walls of all of your cells, of all of your tissues. So I'd rather have a little excess of those than not enough.
So for somebody that's, I'm 67, 150
Mhm.
pounds, and so that you kind of think that'd be a good idea to take both at this,
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Take both, absolutely.
and you can't overdose?
Well, you could, but you couldn't afford it.
That's a good answer. That's a
Unless you
great
unless
answer.
you make Barry Bonds money, right? He could
Yeah,
probably.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Thanks, Doc. Thanks, Rebecca.
You bet. God
Uh-huh.
bless.
All right, Dr. Wallach, now we have another mic with a question in the chat. Any suggestions for mitigation of Graves' disease in a 58-year-old woman, 5 foot 4 inches, 160 pounds, and she was diagnosed about 14 months ago?
Okay, now if I was telling a joke, I would just say, stay away from cemeteries. Okay,
But if you weren't telling a joke,
okay, yeah, Graves' disease is a thyroid issue, okay? And so you have to do several things. Number one, stay away from all the bad foods, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, butter, iodine, no sugar. But also when you have a thyroid issue, you also need to stay away from a class of foods called cruciferous vegetables, no cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, or kale, because they all interfere with thyroid function. Then 1 healthy brain and heart pack per 100 pounds of body weight. I apologize, did it say how much she weighed?
160.
160, I'd have her take 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, the full dose, everything twice a day. I would also have her take our Ocean's Gold, take 3 of those twice a day. Take 3 of those twice a day. That'll be 2 bottles a month of the Ocean's Gold. And they're minerals that have been extracted from algae and sea vegetables and things like that. And it goes back to the old story, and I think I've probably told it a couple of times here on this program, on this Zoom in the past, where we're going to go back to the year 3600 BC. And there was a healer in Egypt who's just drying seaweed and giving it to his patients or customers or whatever you want to call them 3,600 years ago. And he noticed that people with goiter, which was rampant throughout the world back then, the goiter would go away in a couple of weeks when he gave them this dried seaweed. So he started specifically giving the dried seaweed and dried algae to people with goiter. And in weeks, he'd cure them of their goiter. And the word got out. And it went around the world, and so people were beginning to control and prevent and reverse goiter just using dried seaweed, okay? Well, in the let's see here, let me back up, 1830s, in the 1830s, there was a chemist who analyzed the chemistry of seaweed, and he found that one of the prevailing minerals in there was iodine. And he started giving iodine by itself to people with goiter, and their goiter would go away. So it was written up, and people realized that iodine deficiency caused goiter. Well, just before the Second World War in the 1930s, the military is signing up all these doctors to be part of the military and so forth. They said, tell people not to take salt because salt contributes to high blood pressure. And in the 1920s, a company by the name of Morton Salt Company began to put salt and iodine together. They put iodine in the salt in those little paper cartons they were selling because everybody's using salt like crazy because they were minerally deficient because of the electricity, right? They weren't getting wood ashes in their gardens anymore because they didn't have wood stoves anymore. And so they're just going crazy using salt because they were craving stuff, pica, P-I-C-A. And so Morton Salt began to put iodine in salt, and they created iodized salt. And again, goiter went away. Well, when they started telling people stop using salt, they didn't say be sure you're taking supplements with iodine in it. He just said stay away from salt. And so goiter came back with a vengeance because people stopped taking iodine. So that's why we have the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. We have the Ocean's Gold with the iodine in it. And so there's no reason for anybody to have thyroid problems anymore.
And Dr. Wallach, there's a new product that Steve has brought, your son, who has brought and put in longevity, called Ultimate Iodine. And I am loving this stuff. Just a
Well, and
spray
this
in
lady
your mouth.
this lady can have sprays, a couple of sprays twice a day of that Ultimate Iodine, but don't give up the Ocean's Gold.
No, not at all. I still take that myself. So, all right, wonderful. Thank you. Now let's move on. We have Christine with her hand up. Christine, go ahead and unmute yourself. You are on live with Dr. Wallach.
Hi, Dr. Wallach.
Hi, Christine.
Yeah, what would you recommend for a 4-year-old with severe autism, 63 pounds, 4-year-old boy with severe autism?
Okay, with autism. Now that's a disease I had when I was 4 years old to 9 years old. They didn't have a name for it back then, but I had autism when between ages 4 and 9, and I cured myself in 3 days. What you want to do if he's 4 years old, we have if he doesn't want to take any pills and tablets and capsules, we do have what we call the kids toddy. It's a liquid supplement for kids that are 3 years old, 2 years old kind of thing. And so he could take our kids toddy, and he weighs, you say how much?
63 pounds.
63 pounds. I'd have him take 2 doses a day of the kids toddy.
Okay.
I'd also have him take our plant minerals. He can take the strawberry kiwi minerals. It's a ounce, okay, per 100 pounds of body weight. So if he weighs 53 pounds, okay, he needs to take a half ounce, which is a tablespoon, and he could divide that up. He could take a half a tablespoon at breakfast of the strawberry kiwi minerals, which taste very nice. And also, again, in the dinner time, in his ultimate, let's see here, in the kids toddy, but he also needs the EFAs and EFA pluses. I'd have him take 2 of the EFAs for breakfast and 2 of the EFA pluses for dinner time, and stay away from all the bad foods. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, butter, and oats. He needs to live like an Asian. The whole family, needs to live like an Asian, not just him, because if you just put him on rice and sweet potatoes and you're eating Cheerios for breakfast, he will kill you to get to the Cheerios. So, okay, you want to be sure that the whole family is eating the same way. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Secondly, what about a kid who is a 4-year-old also, but with speech problems, delayed speech at 4, he cannot even say a sentence.
Okay, again, you got to get rid of gluten. No wheat, butter, and oats, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no gluten, no wheat, butter, and oats, no sugar. And then I would just do the same thing are these kids related to each other?
Yes.
Brother and sister?
No, cousins.
Oh, cousins, okay. Well, everybody's eating the same way. It's not a genetic thing, but everybody's eating the same way. And so you got to straighten that up.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, Dr. Wallach, next we have a female, 76 years old, very active, 150 pounds, 5 foot 6 inches, high blood pressure. The doctor just put her on a second high blood pressure medication. Eyes are blurry, had cataract surgery 7 years ago, and have been to 2 doctors, the best in her area. Let's see, kinds of tests, including MRI. They said there was nothing wrong. When she's at her computer or phone, the screens are so bright to her eyes. Even though she uses a blue filter screens, she can only stay on for a few minutes at a time.
Okay, now she's got osteoporosis of the skull. Okay, and she's got she's got high blood pressure, so she may have blocked arteries going into the kidneys. The kidneys releasing that hormone renin, driving the blood pressure up. You say she weighs 160 pounds, is that correct?
150?
150, okay. Get rid of all the bad foods, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, butter, ryeoats, no sugar. She needs 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month. I want her also to get 1 bottle of MSM so she could take 6 of those a day, 2, 2, and 2, or 3 and 3, whatever is easier for her. She also needs to get the vitamin D3, 3 of those twice a day. That's 2 bottles a month. She needs the collagen. She needs the glucogel. I'd have her take 5 of those capsules 3 times a day. That's 2 bottles a month of the capsules, or she could get 3 quarts of the liquid and take an ounce 3 times a day, whatever she prefers. And you said she has high blood pressure.
Yes.
So I would throw in the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. She could take 2 bottles of those a month, so she could take 3 twice a day. But she's got osteoporosis of the skull, and this is why her vision is slowly going blurry. Okay. And but all this is going to rebuild the skull, take the pressure off the optic nerve. And I've had people who were legally blind for 6, 8, 10 years, and we put them on this program, and in 90 days they could read 20/20, and without glasses, even though they've been legally blind for 6, 8, 10 years. I did this. I actually had a wager with an eye doctor surgeon who called me a liar, and he gave me 27 of his patients. To make a long story short, in 90 days, all 27 could read, even though they were legally blind 6, 8, 10 years. In 90 days, they could all read 20/20.
That's awesome. Awesome. Again, we want to thank everybody for being here with us on the Ask Doc Live program. If you would like to get any of the products that Dr. Wallach is mentioning, please feel free to visit our website, askdoclive.com. We do have a store there with all of the products that you are hearing about today. We also have some of Dr. Wallach's books that he has mentioned listed there and in the Doc's publications area as well. If you would like to speak with somebody, we do have a call team that is standing by at 855-949-7234. And both of my lovely co-hosts, Nasima and Ruth Ellen, are both on that call team. I want to thank them so much for taking time away from that phone to be here with us today and help out. Now, Dr. Wallach, we have an individual that's 180 pounds, 5 foot 10 inches, 59 years old. Their question is how to get rid of overactive bladder with frequent urination.
Okay. Oftentimes this goes along with low back stuff, sciatica, low back things where the internal branches of the sciatic nerves are being squeezed because of vertebrae and the low back are getting closer together. You have degenerative disc disease. It can also be caused by a low blood sugar issue, okay, because they had either diabetes or reactive hypoglycemia. And so people like this, you said 180 pounds, I'd have them take, get rid of all the bad foods, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no gluten, no wheat, butter, rye, and oats, no sugar. And then the no sugar piece is very important here because that will set off this reactive hypoglycemia in the middle of the night. Let's say they have a piece of pie with ice cream at nighttime before bed, and then they go to sleep, and then 2 hours later, they're going to pee in the bed or get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom or something like that. But they, at 180 pounds, 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, full dose everything twice a day. I'd have them take the MSM, 1 bottle a month, so they can take 3 twice a day or 2, 3 times a day for a total of 6 a day. They need the vitamin D3, 3 of those twice a day. They also need the glucogel, okay, 2 bottles a month of the capsules. So they can take 15 a day, 5, 5, and 5, to rebuild disc and bones and all that kind of stuff. They also need the sweeties. I've been in case there's this reactive hypoglycemia. They need the sweeties. You can get 2 bottles a month of that and take 3 of those twice a day. Get a bottle of our Glycogenics and take 2 of those at lunchtime, and that'll make a huge difference. When these kind of questions come up, we need to also ask them, do they have any issues when they eat dinner or have a dessert with dinner or a breakfast, and they have cereal, these sugary cereals, or they have oatmeal when they're putting sugar on it, and then an hour later they go to sleep. These are the people who are driving to work and they go to sleep and they cross the center line and hit somebody going the other direction and head on and kill everybody. Or these are the people who say, I don't know why, But every night after dinner, I'll go sit and watch TV, and in a half hour, I fall asleep on the couch. Okay, in the old days, 100 years ago, they would call it narcolepsy. Today, they call it reactive hypoglycemia. So doing what I just said will solve all those problems.
All right, thank you so much. Now we have Yvonne, 5 foot 5 inches, 110 pounds, 83 years old, and she's writing us with Parkinson's, and now has AFib, making thyroid numbers go up. She is on a couple of medications for the conditions, and she has high blood pressure. The kidneys are being affected, as we spoke about earlier today, and now we know why. And she does drink more water to flush out the kidneys. What else does she need to do, or can she do, to help with what she has going on?
Sure. Okay, well, AFib can be caused by shrinking, and the first 4 thoracic vertebrae get closer together because you get degenerative disc disease. They smash the roots of these first 4 spinal nerves, thoracic spinal nerves, which control the rate and rhythm of the heart, and get AFib. Also, 84 years old, the odds are she has osteoporosis of the skull, squeezing the 10th cranial nerve, the vagus nerve, which also can cause AFib, or she could have both of those, right? So at 110 pounds, I'd have her get rid of all the bad foods, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, barley, rye, no sugar. She needs 1 healthy brain and heart pack per month, another bottle of R-selenium, right, because of all the cofactors with it. So you could take 3 of those twice a day. Then she's also going to need the MSM, 1 bottle a month, so you could take 6 a day, 2, 2, and 2, or 3 and 3, whatever is easier for her. She has the blood pressure issues and the kidney issues. I'd have her take the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. She could take 3 twice a day minimum. If finances are not a problem, she could take 3 times a day. That'll support healthy blood pressure and healthy blood flow through the blocked arteries, and that will help kidney function. And the AFib goes away very quickly. I'm going to tell you a horrible story about AFib. There was a U.S. congressman by the name of Elijah Cummings. He was 68 years old, and he had AFib. And the doctors up in Baltimore, Maryland, from Johns Hopkins convinced him that he was going to get a stroke because of his AFib. Irregular heartbeat, he's going to have a stroke, and he better have an ablation. So they talked him into it. He goes into the medical school. They anesthetize him, cut his chest open, take a hot soldering iron and touch it to his heart, trying to kill the part of the heart that makes the heart beat irregularly, and they killed him immediately. The doctors went out and had a cheeseburger and a shake and said, man, didn't expect that. And then the next day they forgot his name. How can anybody kill a U.S. congressman and get a walk like that?
Yeah, it's a very sad deal. Very, very
okay,
sad.
So at any rate, you don't need to do an ablation. You don't need to see a cardiologist when you have AFib. It's because it's not really a heart problem. It's either a degenerative disc disease problem, a osteoporosis of the skull, somebody who's 84 years old, osteoporosis of the skull, but it can also be both. So you have to treat for all of that, as we just discussed, and it all goes away.
All right. Okay, so we have several more comments. So let's see how many we can get through before the end of the show. So Kind is looking for a way to add some weight and wants to do it safely. She's tried exercise with no luck. Wants to know if there's some supplements. She's 35 years old. Excuse me. And weighs, right now, she's about 140 pounds.
And she's how tall?
She doesn't say how tall.
Okay, but she wants to add 5 pounds of her weight, and that'd be easy.
She wants to add some weight.
Okay, so what she wants to do is get rid of all the bad stuff, fried foods, processed meats, oils, and glutens, okay? No wheat, bread, rye, oats, no sugar. She wants to take, per 100 pounds of body weight, 1 healthy brain and heart pack per month. She wants to use our Rebound, or a sports drink with 100 nutrients in it. She could have, a half of one of those twice a day if she only weighs 100 pounds. If she weighs 140 pounds, she could have 1 twice a day. I wouldn't take it after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. She'd be up all night, okay? But also, I would have her have, she needs to eat like an Asian. She needs to eat rice and sweet potatoes with butter, no fried rice, and she can have fish and poultry and red meat. But she needs to have more sweet potatoes with butter. That's how you get these wrestlers, okay, from Japan, sumo wrestlers, you know, that weigh 300 pounds, they'll eat 4, 5, 6 meals a day with rice and sweet potatoes, and they will gain the weight. But she needs to make sure she's taking the 90 essential nutrients so that it's healthy weight as opposed to just fat.
All right, thank you so much. So now we have Denise, 57 years old, 167 pounds, female, been on Killer Biotic for 5 years. Says, I know that you have mentioned something that you can take, but I cannot remember for how long. At some point, can I stop taking Killer Biotic?
Okay, well, I forgot here, why is she taking Killer Biotic?
She doesn't mention why.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I have to know why I suggested she take it, okay? And she weighs 100 and what?
267 pounds.
267 pounds. Yeah, for a lady that's, you know, she may have to lose 100 pounds. 167 pounds. I mean, I deal with professional athletes who are ladies, they're 6 foot tall, 6'2", basketball players, and they weigh 167 pounds, okay? NCAA All-Americans, I deal with them, same thing. They're 6 foot tall, they may weigh 150, 160 pounds, 6'2", and she needs to get rid of all the bad stuff, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, butter, oils, no sugar. I'd have her take 2 of the Healthy Brain and Heart packs per month. Don't forget the MSM, 3 of those twice a day. She can use 2 or 3 cans of our Rebound sports drink every day. No, even the diet soft drinks aren't good for her, okay? And then to lose weight, we want her to have 2 of her 3 meals need to be, and it doesn't matter which meal, it doesn't have to be the same meals every day, but each day, 2 of her 3 meals have to be a keto caramel meal. It could be the shake or the bar, and some days you could have the bar at one meal and the shake at another meal. Some days both meals could be a shake, and some days both meals be a bar. However she wants to do it, but 2 or 3 meals should be a keto caramel meal plus all the nutrients, and she will lose a ½ pound to 2 pounds a day. As long as she stays on the program, it'll never come back.
Awesome. And I know, because I'm on the program, that we also have the keto strawberry cream and keto chocolate cream shakes as well, which are very good. Very good. All right. So we have Denise with her hand up. Denise, go ahead and unmute yourself. You are on live with Dr. Wallach.
Hi, my bad. That I was the Denise you were just talking about. The Killer Biotic was, I left a lot of stuff out, I'm sorry. The Killer Biotic was for the RA, rheumatoid arthritis.
Okay.
And I don't
All
have
right.
any symptoms.
Okay, okay, well, now, do you have any symptoms of RA anymore?
I've been still seeing my rheumatoid doctor. I have, what do you call it? They say I still have the markers. And I remember you mentioning something that you have to get from regular doctors because we don't
Okay, stop. There is and so you have to appreciate, when you have rheumatoid arthritis, it's 2 diseases. One is the simple bone-to-bone arthritis. The second part is an infection with a bug called mycoplasma. Mycoplasma is a bug that's kind of halfway between a bacteria and a fungus, and it is susceptible to a cousin to tetracyclines, okay? It's called minocycline is the name of that antibiotic. It's a prescription drug. And so you can either go to Mexico and get it without a prescription, or you can ask your doctor to write your prescription for 6 weeks. You need a 6 weeks prescription of minocycline, and within 6 weeks you'll have killed the bug, and you won't have any markers anymore for RA, because it is not an autoimmune disease. It's not something you were born with and you're going to have for the rest of your life. It's an infection with a bug. It's easily killed. But doctors use RA patients as a ATM machine.
Yeah, for the first time ever, my doctor said that she was surprised I hadn't had a relapse, and that was just taking the Killer Biotic. So,
yeah, you might ask her if she has kids that need tuition for college.
Yeah. Well, I gave her your video on rheumatoid arthritis. I haven't seen her since, so we're going to see her results from that.
Okay, good. You get her signed up.
That's what I'm trying. Like I said, for the first time ever, the last time I went, she said, "Can I give your number to some of your phone number to some of my patients?" Now nobody's called, so I don't know whether she ever did or not. But At least she didn't say I was scaring her.
Okay, well, thank you for the testimony.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the information on the weight loss, because I do need to
Okay.
lose weight too. Thank you.
Awesome, Denise. Thank you so much. And again, if you're a current customer and you want to join into our crusade to spread the news and be able to share your own website with people instead of send them to somebody else, you can call Longevity at our corporate office and say, hey, I'm a current customer. I want to be a distributor. That number is 800-982-3189. Again, 800-982-3189. Now, Dr. Wallach, Priscilla has a question. Oh, go ahead, Ruth Ellen.
I'm sorry, this is Ruth Ellen. I just posted in the chat the link for the RA treatment and print out and take to your doctor, but you will need to click on it in the chat so that you can open it in another browser, because we have disabled the ability for people to copy out of the chat.
And I don't know why Ruth Ellen was going mute, unmute, mute, unmute. I didn't do it. I promise, Ruth Ellen, I love you. But for those of you who didn't catch everything she said, she did put a link in the chat that you can click on.
Yeah, she sounded like she was in the bathroom. Okay, with all that echoing.
Well, I can tell she's not, but that document is there that you can print out and take with you to the doctor. So this is a third-party document that's put out by rheumatology.com, which is not associated to Dr. Wallach, but completely backs up his use of minocycline. So I love that confirmation, and he's been preaching this for decades before that document was ever written.
That's correct.
Yeah. So now we have McQueen, and McQueen actually was the next comment I was coming to. So McQueen, go ahead and unmute yourself. You are on live with Dr. Wallach.
Yeah, do you know if this is Steve McQueen?
I don't know, but they were unmuted for a moment. So let's see. So I would say probably not Steve, but they're not coming unmuted. So let's go ahead and go to the next caller while I pull back up that chat. Let's go to Rob. Rob Neal, you are on live with Dr. Wallach. Go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Oh, there you go. First of all, I want to say I'm delighted. I just signed up as a distributor, and I'm very, very happy about that.
Well, thank you. Welcome aboard, and we look forward to working with you.
Oh yeah, oh man, I just had a real neat time with that. Somebody in San Diego signed me up, and I accidentally spoke with Malan, and that was a real privilege, real pleasure.
Well, thank you.
Okay, here's where I come in. I'm 6 feet, and you can see I'm wearing glasses. I want to get rid of these guys. And I guess you call it farsighted. I'm having trouble reading books. Far away, I see pretty good. And I also want to work on anything I could take to reduce the bags under my eyes. I'm 70 years old.
Okay, do you have any history of anything like high blood pressure, diabetes, arthritis?
Absolutely. Blood pressure, type 2 diabetes. I did get my sweeties, and I forgot what else came in that thing.
Well, it should be the ultimate daily classic tablets for the blood pressure and kidney issues.
I didn't get that. I'm gonna order that too.
Yeah, ultimate daily classic tablets. Big fellow like you, 180 pounds, you need to take 2 bottles a month, so you can take 3 of those twice a day.
Okay.
It'll support healthy blood pressure as well as healthy kidney function. But you have to appreciate, you need to get rid of all the bad foods to maximize benefit. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, butter, rye, oats. And
Okay.
of course, it's going to cost you $50 a year to maintain your longevity distributorship. Now that's tax deductible of $50.
Okay.
It's not $10,000 a year, you know, like for a McDonald's, you know, franchise.
Okay.
Okay, it's actually $50 a year, which is $4.20 a month. And you don't have to have employees. You don't have to have a store. You run this out of your house or your car. And so if you build a nice community of additional distributors and customers, you will have a wonderful, wonderful business. Now, Dr. Milan, she is a microsurgeon who taught and did research at Harvard Medical School.
Okay.
Now, what's the chances of she and I getting together, right?
Yeah.
And, okay, I mean, we're talking about a microsurgeon, and she and I were going over all the different symptoms last night of people with osteoporosis of the skull and so forth. And even yet today, even though she and I have known each other for 30 years, it's one of those things where she's still, which I say, as a professor from Harvard Medical School, a microsurgeon, all right, but she was in the Chinese Air Force for 10 years.
Okay.
So she and I get to talk to each other because I was in our US Air Force for 20 years. So we get to talk Air Force stuff together. Okay. So anyway, yeah. Now, as far as glasses, some things like gradual vision loss is easily reversible. Okay. People who are diagnosed incorrectly with macular degeneration when they really have ONA, optic nerve atrophy, because they have osteoporosis of the skull gradually squeezing the optic nerve, which is the second cranial nerve.
Okay.
And I've won so many bottles of red wine, French red wine, from eye surgeons because they say you can't reverse macular degeneration. I said, well, you give me, you know, a dozen or 25 of the ones you've diagnosed. There's no question about the diagnosis. We've been legally blind 6, 8, 10 years. And I always win. I always win my bottle of wine. Okay.
Incredible.
But as far as cataracts, they're at the earliest of stages, are reversible. There is a point at which there's not much you can do except hope they don't progress as long as you stay away from the bad foods. But if you do continue to eat the bad foods and they progress, you do need to have surgery or just accept the blindness in one eye.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Myself, I was wearing glasses when I was 4. And so I've been wearing glasses all my life. I wouldn't know who I was when I looked in the mirror without glasses. So it's one of those things where sometimes you can't get rid of glasses.
So you just find the frame that looks best on you, and you look awesome, Dr. Wallach.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like the style. That's my favorite style, aviator style.
Yeah, I was gonna
Well,
say,
there you go.
good old
Yeah.
aviator style. All
Yeah.
right, so let's go. Was that your last question, Rob? Are we good? I don't want to cut you off.
No, you're good, and you're so courteous. Thank you for that. And I'll wait till next week to ask a couple of more questions, but I got the main ones answered today.
Okay. Okay, good. Look forward to hearing from
Thank
you.
you, Rob.
Okay.
All right, so next we have Doug. Doug, go ahead and unmute yourself. You are on live with Dr. Wallach.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm 73, 5'9", 150 pounds. They've given me like 2 years to live. I have ALS. I'm looking for a product that can retain my muscle mass because I've lost all the muscles in my forearm and upper chest. They gave me steroids, didn't help. And I need something to stop the curling of my fingers. Like I can't do it.
Okay, stop.
Sure.
Stop. You said you had elves? I don't
I have
understand.
ALS. Yeah, I got it 2 months ago. They 6 doctors.
Okay, now tell me what that is. I have no earthly idea what you said.
Lou Gehrig's disease.
Oh, okay.
ALS.
Well,
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
other form. Yeah.
yeah, okay. Yeah, and of course, do you have varicose veins in your legs?
No.
Okay. Do you have any skin problems, eczema, dermatitis, or psoriasis?
No.
Okay. Do you have any bowel problems, constipation, diarrhea, irritable bowel syndrome, celiac disease, ulcerative colitis, diverticulitis? Did you have appendicitis when you were a kid?
Appendicitis.
Did they take your appendix out?
Oh, no. Tonsil is the only thing I had taken out.
Well, that's at your other end. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Now you have white hair, so I know you're deficient in certain nutrients.
Oh.
Okay. The same nutrient deficiency that causes white hair also causes, that's why I ask about varicose veins. It also
I see.
causes aneurysms, which can cause sudden death when they rupture. They also cause a breakdown of the elastic fibers in your skin, your arteries, cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue. And, but you also have to get rid of all the bad stuff so you can maximize absorption here. You weigh what, 180 pounds, you said?
No, 150.
150, okay.
I've lost
So you
20 pounds last 2 months.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, you got to get rid of all the bad stuff,
Okay.
which includes the doctors. Got to get rid of the
Oh,
bad
yeah.
stuff.
Okay. That's a good one. I like
No
that.
fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, butter, and oats, no sugar. I want you to eat 3 eggs 3 times a day with soft yolks. Hard-boiled eggs won't, 3 eggs 3 times a day.
Okay.
Because 75% of your brain weight is cholesterol.
Right.
Are you on statin drugs? Do they put you on statin drugs to lower your cholesterol?
No, they haven't.
Good. Stay away from statin drugs.
Okay.
Do not do that. Do not look at it. Say, no, you're not going to do it.
No
No,
statins.
no, no. Okay. And so then at 150, 160 pounds,
Yeah.
I want you to take 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, a full dose of everything twice a day. I want you to take our Synaptive, take 3 of those twice a day. Yeah, Synaptive, that's 2 bottles a month of the Synaptive. It's the raw materials for your brain cells to make the biochemistry necessary for them to talk to each other.
Right.
I also want you to have the de-stress capsules, take 3 of them twice a day. That's 2 bottles a month.
2 bottles.
The Ultimate Niacin Plus, take 1 twice a day. That's 1 bottle a month. I also want you to take the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets, take 3 of those 3 times a day. That'll be 3 bottles a month to get circulation going through your brain, because you get plaque in the arteries and plugged arteries in the brain, as well as coronary arteries. Doctors, oh, we're going to give you some stents for your coronary arteries. Well, what about my brain arteries? What about my kidney arteries? They forget all that, right? You don't just get them in your coronary arteries. They're all over the place. And then, let's see here. I want you to use our Rebound Sports Drink for extra drinking. Okay, it has 100 nutrients in it. It comes in individual sticks. We call them these little envelopes with one serving. 30 of those envelopes in a box, or you can get cases of the 12-ounce cans.
Right.
For Rebound. It has 100 nutrients in it, so I want you to drink that. Say you can drink 2 of those a day. I wouldn't drink one after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, otherwise you might be up all night.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because of the energy it gives you.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, and then call us every couple of weeks and give us a status report of your symptoms and what your doctors are saying. But stay away from statin drugs.
Yep.
Okay, and it wouldn't hurt. I would get our Zera test. Go ahead and take 3 of those twice a day. That's 2 bottles a month. They give your Sertoli cells the raw materials to make testosterone. Oh, somebody's phone is ringing.
Yeah, it's just my, sorry, I'm just turn it off.
Okay.
Why doesn't it go off? There we go.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Yeah, but ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, MS, Parkinson's disease are all the same disease. It just depends on what part of the brain is more severely damaged, what symptoms you get, because different parts of the brain do different things, but you treat them all exactly the same. They're all the same disease. And some people, they'll have all those diseases at the same time. And I had one guy, who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, and he was given pharmaceuticals. Ray McGregor is his name, from North Carolina. He was given pharmaceuticals for Alzheimer's disease. In 3 months' time, he goes into a coma. He's in a coma for 8 years. He's being fed with these oily meal replacers through his G tube and some IVs with salt water in it for electrolytes for 8 years. He's about 0 brain waves, and his sister calls me, and I put him on our shake in his G tube, 3 shakes a day, made with heavy cream as opposed to water, and exactly the same formula I just gave you, 3 times a day. To make a long story short, in 3 days' time, remember, he's been in a coma being fed through a G tube twice a day for 8 years. In 3 days' time, he wakes up, thinks he's only asleep one night, goes back to work as a bank, as a bank vice president. And everybody at the bank was not there 8 years earlier when he went into the coma. And they thought he was just some clever crook trying to claim he was a bank officer so he could rob the bank.
Right.
But I get this all the time. I treat people with all these brain diseases, whether they're dementias. And there's no rule that says you can't have all 8 at the same time. And so I always treat for all 8, and that's why I have such success.
Okay.
Now, I want everybody to know that this is being recorded, and Jonty will have it up within a short amount of time after this call has been completed at askdoclive.com. You will be able to go to the recording, go back and forth, listen to it again, stop, write down what you need to write down, start again. I know Dr. Wallach is amazing at giving us all of the recommendations, but we can't always write that fast, Dr. Wallach. So I love the fact we're able to do that and provide that service to you.
Well, thank you Thank you all very much.
Yes. So Dr. Wallach, again, thank you so much. We are at the top of the hour. This is the amount of time that we have with you. We appreciate you, and we appreciate all of you that are on with us today and taking control of your own health, putting it into your own hands, and trusting Dr. Wallach, his formulas, his research, and everything that he has done that has been proven success throughout so many years. So again, we're going to go ahead and sign off. I know there were a lot of chats and questions in the chat that we did not get to. You can go to askdoclive.com, click on contact us, send us an email with your question. If you have already done so, I promise we will get the answers to you with Dr. Wallach's protocols specifically to meet your needs. So again, thank you all so much. Thank you, Jonty. Thank you, Ruth Ellen. Thank you, Nasima, for all of your help today. And again, if you want to try these products, go to askdoclive.com. We have a store there. You can use the search option, and that search option can pull up any of the products that Dr. Wallach has mentioned today and get the products that you need on their way to you so that you can address the underlying causes, not just mask the symptom.
Okay, well, thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, team. Lieutenant Colonel Wallach, over and out.
Thank you, sir.